This week's Parshas VaEra begins the Freedom Games. Moshe Rabbeinu is equipped with an entire satchel of wonderful ploys in order to gain the freedom on behalf of Klal Yisrael from Paro Melech Mitzrayim. While he's given a staff, a stick that can be turned into a snake. And he has the ability to turn the waters through the agency of Aharon, to turn the waters of Mitzrayim into dam, into blood. And then to effectively bring out a frog that when hit can turn into an endless number of frogs scattered across the land of Egypt. And it advances to the Kenim, to the lice, into the Aruvim, to the Devon, to pestilence, into wild animals and animals that die, all the way to the Shchin, to the boils descending upon the people, making life quite unpleasant. And Barad, the combination of hail, ice, and water within, Nes B'soch Nes, smashing everything in his course. And he's able to walk into Paro effectively and say, let the people of Klal Yisrael go, God's Bechor, God's firstborn. Otherwise, you're going to suffer endlessly. Throw the gates of freedom open. But even though Moshe Rabbeinu is provided with all of this, I can't help but think to myself that he's provided with something at the very outset that's an even more cogent ingredient to the freedom ultimately gained by the people of Israel. And it certainly can be viewed as leadership lesson number one. When Moshe Rabbeinu turns to Klal Yisrael and he gives over to them the four expressions of Geula, and I will take out, and I will save, and I will redeem, and I will take Klal Yisrael as a nation to me by Har Sinai, and ultimately bringing them into the land of Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu follows through on the four-pronged message to Klal Yisrael, but they fail to listen to him. Below Shamu al Moshe, they don't hear him because of ruach, from shortness of breath, from avodah kasha, and from back-breaking, laborious work. And no doubt they turned to Moshe Rabbeinu and they said to Moshe, oh, come on, we've heard that so many times over the past 210 years. And who are you to even raise such a message to us? Why, you haven't even been subjugated to Paro. You've never felt the whip. You've never even so much as lifted a brick. Who are you to bear this message of redemption to us? And therefore, when the Kodesh Baruch Hu commands Moshe Rabbeinu to go to Paro, Moshe turns to him and says, hey, B'nai Yisrael, lo shamu elai. If Klal Yisrael refuse to listen to my words of comfort and of a future of redemption and salvation, then why should Paro, who has everything to lose by listening to me, why should he hearken to my words? After all, I am a man of what? I am a man of aras fasayim, of lips that are somewhat cut, somewhat adumbrated. Either Moshe Rabbeinu perhaps had a speech impediment and he stammered, or he was saying to Kodesh Baruch Hu, I'm a man of few words, and my words are more often than not received harshly. I don't sugarcoat them. I don't adorn them. I don't make them flowery. I tell it like it is. I give over the message of God. And it doesn't seem to be working. And God responds to Moshe and Aharon. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aharon vayitzavem. He commands them, El B'nai Yisrael, regarding the children of Israel, ve'el Paro Melech Mitzrayim, and Paro, the king of Egypt. Explains Rashi, what was the command regarding Paro, the king of Egypt? Tzivam alav lachlok lo kavod b'divrehem. He commanded Moshe and Aharon, who understandably looked at Paro as being the antithesis of everything moral in life, everything remotely divine in life. But he commanded them, saying to them, you have to speak with proper deference and proper respect. For at the end of the day, he is still the king of the land of Egypt. But Vayitzavim of B'nai Yisrael, what did he command Moshe Rabbeinu and Aharon regarding Klal Yisrael? Says Rashi, Tzivam aleim lanhigam b'nachas v'lispolosam. He said to Moshe and Aaron, he said, the journey ahead will be a fruitful one, a glorious one. But it will have its moments of twists and turns. It won't be straight lines. It will be zigzagged in nature. And there will be times when Klal Yisrael will eat your heart out. Because at the end of the day, what people perhaps most rue and abhor in life is change. No one likes change. Not in an awareness, not in responsibility vis-a-vis HaKadosh Baruch Hu or vis-a-vis their fellow man, not insofar as our spouses are concerned, to have to change within the context of our marriage relationships, or the way that we raise our children, or the way that we as children view and are more accepting of our parents. All of us hate change. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands Moshe and Aaron, Tziv alei manhigim anachas, he says, change comes slowly. Change comes very slowly. But continue the course. Nudge them forward, gently, patiently, reminding yourself daily that change is slow. V'lisbalosam, and remind yourselves that even though the promise I have asked you to convey to Klal Yisrael, the very first stage is V'hotzesi eschem, that I will take you out, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I will take you out from Egypt, V'hotzesi eschem mitachas livos Mitzrayim, from underneath the burdens of Egypt. You, Moshe and Aaron, will shoulder the burden of Klal Yisrael, the people of Israel. They will be your children, and you will have to have an endless, eternal patience with them. Benachas, slowly, v'lisbalosam, and to shoulder them at every turn and every event. But you'll see, if you hearken to this leadership lesson, number one, if you have this in your bag of tricks, well, then you will be the most successful leaders in the world, and you will see to it that the geula, that the redemption from the land of Mitzrayim will indeed lead all of you to Matan Torah Bahar Sinai, and ultimately into the Morasha, into the inheritance and the heritage of nothing less than the land of Israel. Have a wonderful Shabbos.